Well, the YouTubers are out in full force talking about Apple's new MacBook Neo, and since we're actually a laptop specialist channel, I thought I better share what we think. The Neo, it's Apple's new budget laptop. It has a slightly cut down version of the A18 Pro chip. That's the one that was in the 2024 iPhone 16 Pro. But the Neo's version, it has one less GPU core. Well, thankfully, we have plenty of Geekbench results to show us how this chip performs. Geekbench tests a variety of common performance tasks that you may actually do on your laptop. What we've done here is we've stacked up the iPhone 16 Pro against all MacBook Airs with M-series chips, including that original M1 one, A19 Pro in the current iPhone 17 Pro, as well as a bunch of chips from Intel, AMD, and Qualcomm, all of which can actually be found in Windows laptops at the same price as the Neo. And while we were making this video, we did actually see the first results hit of a real Neo, and indeed its CPU score does match the iPhone 16 Pro's. What you'll see here is for multi-core performance, which is really the laptop's overall performance, the Neo it kind of sucks. Equivalent multi-core performance to the MacBook Air with M1 that came out in 2020. In full transparency though, that processor was way ahead of its time and really more akin to a processor found in, say, a basic Windows laptop from 2023. But as you can clearly see, compared to current gen processors, it's beaten by all of them. Where the A18 Pro does excel though is in single core performance. Now, for basic Office applications, web browsing and that sort of thing, single core performance, it does play a big role in making your laptop feel snappy. So if you're sticking to those applications and say a couple of simple web pages, well, the Neo may be totally fine. Heck, it could even feel snappy. But there are a bunch of other factors that you need to consider that do play a role. Now, one of the biggest of which is going to be the Neo's 8GB of memory. The latest macOS, you see, it uses around 4 gigs, if not more. That leaves only 4 for your actual use. Your average Chrome tab, guys, it can easily hit half a gig. Anything you're actively using on your laptop, it needs to fit in memory. So if you're running more on your laptop than a handful of Chrome tabs and some Office applications, the ones you aren't currently using, those will need to be swapped out of memory and written to disk to make room for new ones. If you click on those older ones, they'll need to be brought back in, and others will need to be swapped out of memory, written to disk to make room for them. Moral of the story here, guys, the Neo storage drive, it's going to be hit a lot, and its speed is really going to play a pretty critical role here. Also, the speed of the memory itself, that matters too. The Neo's memory bandwidth is slower than the Airs from 2020, 60GB per second versus 68, and way behind current Airs which have 150. And if you are doing GPU tasks like gaming, as I said, the Neo has one less GPU core than the iPhone 16 Pro does. Finally, that Geekbench test that I showed you earlier, it doesn't actually max out the processor's performance, at least not for any duration of time. We'd need, say, Cinebench for that, or a gaming test. Laptops like the Neo with a fanless design, they tend to perform even poorer in a test like that compared to laptops that have a fan. So, the reality is this. If you plan to do anything that requires even a skerrick of performance on your laptop, the Neo is going to be a really bad idea. Whether it feels snappy for light tasks though, like basic Office use, web browsing and collaboration tools, which is probably what it was designed for, we just don't know yet. It may be totally fine and it may not be. You're just going to have to wait for real reviews, unfortunately, to find out. We've ordered the Neo in and every config of each of those new MacBooks, and boy was it expensive, but I want us to be the channel that you can trust to thoroughly go through each one and advise you on what is actually worth buying. Obviously get subscribed with the notification bell on for that, so you'll be the first to know. I'd say you can expect our full reviews out from, say, mid to late March onwards. Guys, I want to ensure we've genuinely used the laptops before we tell you about them. If you're watching this video after that, well, I'll link them down below. Lastly, when you do buy a laptop, you need to consider how long you're actually keeping it for. Most students will keep their laptop for at least 4 years. If a Neo only has basic performance in 2026, well, imagine how it will do in 2030. Speaking personally, if I had, say, $500 or $600 to spend right now on a laptop and I was just using it for basic tasks, I'd buy a refurbished MacBook Air with M3 before buying a Neo. Well, that's all I got for you. Josh out.